right. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for today's presentation. Our featured presenters are joining us from New York City and Los Angeles, and I'm in Boston. Where are you all logging in from? Please find the question pane on the right-hand side and let us know while others are dialing in. Okay, we're just about 1 minute past the hour, so we'll give people a few minutes to dial in and join the presentation. All right, it looks like we have someone tuning in from Dubai. Okay, so we are attracting an international audience today. That's great. Okay, I think we can get started. Today's discussion will cover the 3 reasons your owned marketing channels are more valuable than you realize. We'll talk about uncovering the hidden value in your owned marketing channels, what those marketing channels are, specific changes by optimizing your own channels and using high value brand content in your own channels to drive customer engagement. My name is Jill Davis, and I lead content marketing here at Retention Science. I'll be moderating today's discussion and Q&A, so please don't be shy about submitting questions and comments at any point throughout the webinar. We would love to hear from you. If we don't get to your question during the Q&A, someone from our team will reach out to you to follow up. As a bit of background, Retention Science was founded in 2012 by data scientists and e-commerce experts with the goal of freeing marketers from some of the time-consuming manual work and guesswork around their email marketing so they could focus more on their marketing strategy and growth. The entire Resci team continues to focus on helping e-commerce businesses grow and thrive. For those unfamiliar with Retention Science, it is an AI-powered marketing platform that helps brands connect with their consumers to help deliver highly targeted and deeply personalized messages to each individual person at the right time, every time. We work with some major brands, including Figs, Draper James, and Shinola, as well as many small and growing brands. Today, we will discuss the hidden value of your owned marketing channels, including your website, email, and social channels, and discuss some key strategies for leveraging them even more to adapt to privacy changes happening now and in the future. It is my pleasure to meet you all virtually today and introduce you to today's co-presenters, who you are seeing on your screen now. At Retention Science, Nick Hein helps marketers increase revenue and improve the customer experience by leveraging customer data and insights. With over 6 years of experience in the e-commerce industry, He knows how to help businesses use Resize self-optimizing technology to grow and scale their business. Nick has helped brands like Figs, Olay, Shinola, and Umzu transform their marketing. We are lucky to be joined today by our agency partner, Marketing Seal. Evan Sanzer, the agency's CEO, enjoys working with clients across branding, website design and development, product and model photography, social media, email marketing, and search engine optimization. Thanks so much for joining us to share your thoughts and expertise, Evan. We also have Wei Kuo, our head of customer success at Resize. Wei will join the discussion during the Q&A portion of our presentation. So please don't be shy about submitting your questions. We will compile all of them and get to as many as possible during the Q&A portion. So I want to turn to Evan now for more on the Marketing Seal story. So Evan, can you tell us when you started Marketing Seal and what your inspiration was for starting and growing an agency?
Yeah, so I started Marketing Seal. Before I get to Marketing Seal, not only does Nick help all the big brands out there, but he also helped the little guys like me. So I appreciate it, Nick. So I started Marketing Seal around 3-4 years ago. And the reason why I started it because I worked within a brand called Sterling Original for around 8 years. And while I was there, we met with all these fancy agencies. And with meeting with all these guys, you realize a lot of them don't know what they're talking about. So the term consultant, people love hiring them because if you pay them a lot of money, they must be the smartest guy out there. It's also the same thing with email software. If you use other companies out there, if they're charging you above and beyond everybody else, it must be working better, or else who would pay for them? But that's not really the case. So that was really my inspiration into getting into my own agency kind of idea, was working with so many people who realize, hey, it's just missing a regular person out there actually talking the regular language that businesses can actually understand. And the thing about Resize, why I like them, I had, before even switching over to retention science, I was with Klaviyo, I was with ListTrack for many, many years. Making the jump was pretty scary because you're dealing with these really established brands that's been around for a while. But at the end of the day, pricing was the same, but their technology was so above and beyond better. It was kind of an easy switch at the end, even though in the beginning it was pretty scary. Because when you're generating so much revenue through email and text, and to go ahead and make a change like that, CEOs of companies are like, they're more like, hey, if the boat is moving good, why rock it? But at the end of the day, it was worth it. So we're pretty happy with it. I know you asked me about me. I don't really like talking about myself. I talk to my wife about myself to try to like impress her. Everybody else, I don't really have anything else to say.
All right.
Thanks for the kind words, Evan. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm gonna mute myself because she also makes me do that all the time.
So you also mentioned that you've grown Marketing Seal primarily through word of mouth, which is fantastic. Do you find that most of your clients approach you with similar types of projects and engagements, or are there certain types that you particularly enjoy the most? So like brand strategy versus digital marketing, et cetera.
Got it. So I personally enjoy working with competent companies because out there's a lot of companies that could make money, but what I do like doing is really the full service from Facebook to Google to brand strategy, because if one thing in your funnel isn't doing well, it's going to affect everything else. So for example, since the last Facebook iOS update, a lot of companies have been struggling immensely because their targeting has been completely off. So if you have one part of your, like the main traffic sources, that's like Facebook bringing it to your site, if that traffic isn't good traffic, all your other channels are also going to suffer. So it is very important to be involved in everything A to Z. So that's what I like to do, from content creation to Facebook marketing to Google marketing, and then to basically capture them and actually retarget them throughout the funnel with email and text. So that is what I like, that is what we enjoy doing. And it's also the main thing that what we focus on is really communicating with the companies, because there's a lot of agencies out there. A lot of times they'll just say, this is the best practice, this is what you have to do, but it's more of a communication, because at the end of the day, the brands out there know their products better than me. I'm just a regular guy out there. They're dealing with customer service and all those type of things. So that's what's extremely important, just that communication back and forth.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. So the big news this week, as we all heard, was the Apple iOS 15 release and the privacy changes which impact the accuracy and usefulness of some email data, such as open rate. We wrote a blog post on this topic, and we will be including that in our follow-up email along with the webinar recording. So we are all seeing sweeping data privacy changes, including third-party cookie bans, and we can expect more to come. But according to research conducted by Boston Consulting Group, data-driven marketing can double revenue and increase cost savings by 1.6 times. So we're still going to need reliable customer data. And one absolutely key thing to do is come up with a plan for gathering comprehensive first-party data using your owned marketing channels. Nick, can you give us a bit of an overview of what we mean by owned marketing channels and talk a bit more about this?
Yeah, absolutely, Jill. I mean, I think when it comes right down to it, it's pretty self-explanatory when you say owned, right? It's everything that you can physically control. And that's your email lists, your blogs, your videos, everything that you do that is brand forward that your team is actually creating. And the cool thing is that the comprehensiveness, kind of like what Evan talked about, right? From A to Z, if all of those own channels are working really well together, you get to tell this fantastic brand story and you get to target and find the customers that are really going to engage with that. Now, I think the thing that actually a lot of marketers miss when they're talking about owned channels or really just, owned marketing is all the data that's being created every single day. That's on your website, that's on your emails that are getting clicked on, that's how people are interacting with your blog content. And I think that's kind of the place where we really like to play, because when it comes down to it, especially right with these privacy controls and with the things changing in that data landscape, the more data that you can leverage that your customers are actually giving to you and leverage it in the right way, the better those own channels are going to be. So I think one of my favorite examples of like really using own data in the right way is not just focusing on, hey, this person engaged on my website in the last 15 days or the last 30 days or the last 90 days, but actually what did they engage with, right? Did they engage with a specific product? Do they match one of your customer personas, someone who's, excited about a specific topic that you have in your blog post? And once you can get down to that point, that's how you can even drive your own marketing even further. So if you see your email list, for example, really being built up of a specific persona set that, if I'm in nutrition, that's really focused on, weightlifting or fitness, now I can create more own content around that. And what we see is that all those own marketing channels, as you start to compare ROI, the more focus that you put on who your customers are, the better and more you attract those customers. So if now you can put together the data that your customers are showing you based on how they engage with your blog content, and then connect that with their purchase history, now you can see that, hey, people who are in the fitness mindset give us 10x more in LTV. Now you can go and find more and more valuable customers in that way. And so I think that's really the key, right? The data has to support the own marketing and vice versa. Because if you're doing both of those together, that's where you're going to see the highest ROI. And so one of the things that I think is great about AI technology is that it allows you to use that data in more sophisticated ways. So that way you don't have to be a data scientist or an analyst to use that data. And what we've seen is the customers, who work with us, like Evan with Sterling or even with Joycholt, when they go and dig into their data, when they start seeing the AI optimize how their brands and blogs are working, they're able to target even better. And that's really what our goal is to make those own channels as effective as possible.
So I just want to jump in for a second and talk about AI also. So AI, everybody thinks is the coolest thing and it's the most complicated thing to grasp and understand it, because I'm sure if you guys talk to any company out there, they'll tell you when you even email our customer service, we have AI behind it. Nobody knows what that means. They're just saying the word AI. But in layman's term, I'm not as smart as Nick. I'm not a data scientist. I'm just a regular guy. What I would say behind their AI, what makes it really cool I'm not sure if you guys do this, but when you're advertising on Facebook, for example, and you're doing bottom of the funnel type of advertising, you generally want to test out different type of offers to see what's going to work best. But you can take that same idea and put it into email. There aren't with my experience, there isn't another email platform out there that you can take basically 6 offers and put it, let's say, at churned, or you can create your own segment, put that at bottom of the funnel, and send those out on their own. That's really how the AI works, is that their system really, again, they can correct me if I'm wrong, because again, I'm not a data scientist, I'm not so smart, but if you can take those 6 different offers, put them as a segment, customers that came to your site, added to cart, and did not purchase between the last 30 and 90 days, their AI will go ahead and send out those 6 different offers to all of your, to basically everybody on your email list, depending on what time, whatever their AI says, basically. And then you'll see at the end of 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, which offer is performing the best, and then you can make changes based on that. So that's, to me, how I use their fancy AI system in layman's terms.
That's awesome.
I'm glad you bring that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that, Evan, just because of the fact that that's the key, right? We want to make it really easy to use, so that way you don't have to be that data scientist, right? You don't have to know anything about it. As Evan put it, you can be a regular guy with great ideas, and our AI just helps you figure out which ideas work.
I don't even have great ideas. I just talk to people who have better ideas. So you don't even have to have great ideas. What you can do is, here's a secret. Whoever your competition is, to subscribe to their emails, and you can get a feel of what type of offers to do. Like what I did was with Nick, I went to other companies, I wanted to see what they had to offer, and they had the best service, so we went with them.
Cool. Awesome. So Evan, I have another question for you, again, about this first party data piece. There's so much often overlooked value in the enormous amounts of first party data that brands are collecting every day. Do you feel like this is something that brands are becoming more aware of?
Yes, 100%. I think brands are becoming extremely aware that they have to have their own email list, have to send emails out to everybody, they have to send text messages, everything all together, because they realize you cannot just rely on Facebook anymore. It used to be you can't rely on Amazon to build your business because Amazon can shut down your listing whenever they decide it. Now the same thing really happened with Facebook because of privacy policy. People agree with these laws or not. I happen to love them because I made money from them. Now my life is more difficult. It's harder to make money. But the way to pivot when you have this type of what's going on with privacy issues is you do it with email and text message marketing, and it is a huge deal. If you don't do this, you're paying so much more to get that customer. The most expensive part of any business now, it's not even the products a lot of the times, it's actually paying to get the traffic to the site. That's your foot traffic. And that is the one thing. And once we have them on your site, you basically need to, in a sense, I don't want to use this word in a negative way, but in a sense, harass them, remind them about why they actually clicked on your ad on Facebook or Google, so they can actually check it out at the end.
Yeah. So thank you for that. And there's even more hidden value in owned media. And this goes back to the level of control that you have with your owned marketing channels. So e-commerce brands are understandably eager to reach a wide audience, and they often do this through third-party marketplaces and channels. Evan, I know you're aware of some drawbacks based on some of your clients' experiences. Unfortunately, selling through these mega global channels exposes your products to manufacturers who might copy your designs, use inferior materials or manufacturing processes, and undercut you on pricing. When people are buying cheap copies of your products, it hurts your brand as well as your bottom line. Instead of going full force with third-party marketplaces, brands can optimize their owned channels and protect their brand and product designs at the same time. As we said earlier, you have full control of and access to data that is collected on your website, as opposed to transactions that take place in a third-party marketplace or channel. And so, Evan, I have a couple more questions for you on this topic. When clients come to you with problems or concerns around third-party channels, how do you help them see that their own channels can be viable for the kind of growth they're looking for?
So if the way to pitch it is very simple, is that if you're having success on Amazon or Macy's, there's no reason why you wouldn't have success on your own website. And when you're just selling on Amazon or Macy's, is It's great that you're making money, and it's great that it's a less complicated way of making money, but you don't own the customer. You don't get any of the customer data. If you want to go ahead and you come up with a new product, let's stick with glassware for a second. If you're selling wine glasses on Amazon and you're selling a great deal of them, but then you come up with a coffee glass, that same customer who bought your wine glass, there's no way of retargeting them through Amazon to buy that coffee glass, even though they actually resonated with your brand. On your own site, if you were advertising through Facebook and you got them to your site and they purchased from your site, which means they checked out with their email address, when you come out with a new glass, coffee glass or a new wine glass, you're able to retarget them 3 months, 6 months down the line, however long you want to do it, to get them to buy from you again. Depends what your customer journey is, how often they buy from you. But on all these third-party platforms, you have zero control over that. And if you want to grow your business, I'm going to say it again, the most expensive part of every business now is driving traffic to your site. That's the most expensive part by far. So once you already get that traffic and you actually got the customer, that's the most precious thing you can have. You want to make sure you can sell to them over and over again. And that really is the biggest selling point to all companies that are successful on other platforms, is that you want to go ahead and actually retarget them. Once somebody bought from you, they're going to buy from you again if you have the right experience and you're offering good products to them.
Evan, I love that you use that parallel from Amazon. I think the other big one that's changed, especially during the COVID pandemic, has been grocery deliveries. When I've been talking to a lot of people who are in that market, they missed out on a big opportunity because they had to move so quickly, right? Instacart came up and started being that delivery service for so many grocery chains out there. And what that means is that every single one of those customers is now Instacart's customers, rather than, Safeway's customers or Kroger's customers or whatever that grocery store is that delivers from Instacart. And you see that that was Amazon's play actually with Whole Foods, right? They wanted to have that own customer. They wanted to own that data and see what that person is buying so they could get them back and back. And, if you take anything from Amazon, it's how they do personalization, right? They really use that customer data in a way that gets you to buy over and over and over again. And so that's the other important piece here, is the more that you can get people onto your channels, onto your website, that means that you really own the customer at that point.
Yeah, the one thing I just want to reiterate at this point, that when you're selling on all these other platforms, you get nothing. You don't even get their address. So you suck, basically. You put all this effort into making them buy a product, then they buy it, and then they throw out the box. And if you don't have the perfect branding on your glassware or whatever product you're selling, they're going to forget about it. And it's just, you're putting all this effort in to sell a product one time. No, you're not an idiot. You want to resell your additional products that you have. Any company that's only offering one product, first of all, don't use retention signs, and figure out how to sell more products. Because if you're only going to sell one, you're just putting yourself in a tiny little bubble. You got to be able to upsell and sell additional items.
Yeah, that's great, Evan. Thank you. I think we can shift now to talk a little bit about the various ways marketers can adapt to privacy changes by optimizing their own marketing channels. So Nick, can you share a few tactics?
Don't go to Europe.
Yeah, GDPR has made it hard over there. Yeah, I mean, it really comes down to the fundamentals, right? When someone lands on your site, the very first thing you need to do is capture them, right? You need to have some type of email capture, something that's going to get them enticed to just join the email list. And we've seen things as easy as, discounting. That's the typical way of doing things, but there's so many other strategies out there. What we've seen, especially in the beauty industry, just a simple free gift with first purchase, right? This way you're not discounting, you're not devaluing the brand. You can actually give something of value back to that customer for purchasing. And a lot of times what our customers will do is they'll actually look through their data of, when someone buys a product, what keeps them into that second, third, fourth, fifth purchase. If we can identify what that product is and give a free sample of that product, now we know that that customer is much more likely to buy from us a second, third, fourth, or fifth time. And that's really like the very first piece of it. Then after that, it's all about progressive profiling. And that's where, now that you have a customer actually, into your database and we understand who they are and how they're browsing, how they're engaging, how can we, every time we identify them coming back to the site, build more information about them? Maybe we give them a blog post that is all about wrinkly skin, or maybe we focus on, them actually needing to, brighten up their skin tone. Depending on how they click and how they engage, now you can serve them content that they really care about. And you can even take it one step further and do some type of quiz, right? So, who this customer is, they're clicking from your email onto your website, serve them up with some information so you know what their number one concerns are. Now you can even further personalize that journey for them. So that next email, instead of it being generic, it's going to be specific for how they're trying to interact and engage with your brand. Evan, with your brand, like, how do you think about progressive profiling and adding data to your customer profiles?
It's a great question, and the way you were saying it is basically the best way to do it. So depending on the company that I'm working with, apologies for the helicopter in the background, New York City, baby. Depending on the company that we're dealing with, you do want to get as much customer data info as possible. So you can do a questionnaire like what Nick was saying. But a lot of times what works best, like we've done tests with this, is actually spin to win. People actually like doing it and engage them. For us, for all the tests that I've been running, spin to win does the best with it. But what we've also done in the past is we've done questionnaires after post-purchase to see what type of items they're also interested in, and we'll basically segment them and put them into a bucket. Hey, I'm happy that they bought, let's say, let's talk about watches for a second, this sporty watch, but we asked them also what other type of products interest you, and what type of watch do you aspire to get? And based on their answer, we'll put them into a bucket, and we'll only segment to them, and we'll only send them certain type of emails 3 months down the line, basically, that when we think they're ready to make another purchase, we'll start basically sending out these automated emails to make sure, to remind them that, hey, by the way, just letting you know, you let us know you liked this 3 months ago, so in case you're interested in buying it now, here you go. And then once we start sending out those type of emails, we also then send out buy now, pay later emails, which are, I'm sure all of you guys do this, which is basically you can pay interest free over 6 months for up to a certain price tier. So we send that after basically reminding them, hey, you like this product. Then the secondary email we do, by the way, if you don't want to buy it now, if you think it's too much money, you can pay for it over 6 months with no interest, no nothing, and it's yours. So that's just some of the stuff that we've done.
Yeah, that's great. And, as we all know, email marketing is a very valuable owned channel, and that customer segmentation piece is super important. I think a lot of brands are still putting a lot of time and effort and honestly guesswork into doing the manual work around segmenting their customers. But there is real value in AI-enabled automated segmentation, where individual customers are assigned and reassigned to buying stages based on their behavior. So Evan, I have a couple more questions here for you. One thing that you've mentioned in the past is the needs nurturing stage, and how important that particular stage is for communicating with those customers who are looking for engaging non-promotional content. So can you share with us how Resized customer segmentation has helped your clients retain customers and grow their email lists and online sales?
Yes. Do you have in the slide the emails I sent over to you?
Those unfortunately did not make it through. Okay. No. But,
so you can email to everybody after. But sure. Basically, what we do for needs nurturing in that specific segment is that we have the way Nick can explain to you a little bit better, because again, he's a smart guy. The way needs nurturing works is it's the bucket that most of your email subscribers get put into after a certain amount of time. So what we did was we set it up 2 ways in needs nurturing. We set up for customers that we set up different segments. Customers that came to the site within the past 30 days, they added to cart and they did not check out. We had another one that they came to the site the past 30 days and they didn't add an item to the cart. And we had another segment that we have there. They purchased from us in the past 6 months and they haven't purchased since then. So then what we did basically was we set up 6 different offers in needs nurturing, and we would basically see on each stage which offer would do the best. In addition to that, we would also set up different product features. We would want to give a lot more information about the products. If you came to the site and you didn't even add an item to your cart, we would basically send you emails that are describing the product about how it's such good quality, how we manufacture it, how it's going to look on your table, how you're going to wear your watch, how good it's going to look on your wrist. If you actually added the item to the cart and you didn't check out, that's when we get more aggressive. That's when we start giving you different offers. We'll give you a 15% off, a 20% off, a BOGO offer. If you buy a product now, if you spend over $200, you get this product for free. Well, we just give you different offers. We don't give all these at the same time, obviously. We spread them out 30 days apart. So that's you'll just get one offer. But let's say get 20% off if you check out within the next 24 hours. This is also something we do. I believe in causing people anxiety. Like what I did to Nick for over the months he's been chasing me to join retention science. I just, you got to cause people anxiety and make them make that switch. So it's the same thing with email. If you give them that time limit, hey, you got 12 hours to check out. So we would also do that, give a 24-hour time limit, let's say, and then we wouldn't give a time limit at all. And we would see if you would just put the 24-hour time limit in, we wouldn't actually make it 24 hours. You can buy it in 3 months and that doesn't make a difference. It's the same coupon code. But it's just that thought, like, oh, I'm going to miss out on this, so I'm not going to do it. But just don't post this publicly online because I'm going to get shot by everybody that I'm telling how I do this. So that's how we would set up basically. So needs nurturing, we would send out literally tens of thousands of emails would go out on their own every month through needs nurturing, probably over, honestly, I would say over probably 200K worth of emails gets sent out through needs nurturing. The reason why it's so good is that whenever you're having an off day, you don't want to post some content. Chances are your customer or your potential customer is getting an email from you through needs nurturing. So these are emails already set up that doesn't take any effort on your end. And what I do personally, once a month, the beginning of every month, I go through basically every segment. I see which emails are doing the best, and then I make changes based on that. I look at what's going on, and then we readjust based on the numbers that we're seeing.
Yeah, that's great. And it just kind of speaks to that piece that, you still have that visibility into what's happening and control and able to really strategize there. So that's great. So Evan, if you were onboarding a fledgling D2C client, what would you say to them about the ability of AI to deliver an engaging and highly personalized buying experience?
That it's must needed, that before you even, well then, I don't want to try to slow the selling process, but before you even want to have a whole email strategy, you have to figure out who is your customer, what do they want, do they react positively to promotions? I know Nick said earlier that you don't only have to do promotions. I do agree with that, but at the same time, I go on Facebook all the time, not to actually see what's out there. I couldn't care less, but I look at the ads. Every single ad out there right now is basically promotion. So in America, at least, customers were trained that they can't buy anything full price anymore ever again, because unless it's Supreme, and then you have to pay 4 times the price for no reason. So it's one way or the other. So you really have to have in mind what are your goals and how you're going to get there. So is it by giving, is like what I did for Sterling, for example, it's a very value-based brand. So it's the customer wants to get value for it. They want to get value for what they're paying. So if you give them an offer above what they're seeing out there, they're feeling like they're getting more value out of it. So now they can push them through the finish line. So it really all depends on what type of products you're selling. But you really have to have in mind, figure out, hey, you put yourself in the customer's shoes. It's really simple. It's what I do all the time. If I want to go ahead and buy new coffee glasses, for example, what's going to make me want to spend for JoJo specifically, spend an extra $10 on their glasses versus buying it at Marshall's? How can I go ahead and convince the customer that it's worth it? So one way we did it, which happened to work for us, is by offering a lifetime warranty on our products. So we just constantly reiterate, we constantly say that message over and over again. So you have to understand what your brand is, what messages you want to deliver, and then you basically put all those messages properly segmented into retention science, and you let it send out for you. And then you'll see what's working, what's not working, and make changes based off of that. What I think you should do is once every 30 days, take a look into the analytics, into the stages, and then you'll see what's going on. Besides the promo blast, which you can check every time you send them out, but give the system some time to learn, let it send out a few 100,000 emails, and then you'll see pretty quickly what's going on.
Yeah, I love that how you're talking about that, Evan. Just to give some folks who may not be familiar with retention science and how it works. Basically, what Evan is saying is, he comes up with all the different situations that he thinks his customer's mindset could be in, and he does get to just deliver that information in the form of different content, different email pieces, put the proper segments that he thinks is valuable for his company, and then our AI actually does just figure out which of those is working best. So we'll actually make the determination based on who's opening, who's clicking those emails, and start to prioritize the better performing one. And then all Evan has to do is really go look at the analytics and figure out, hey, the AI is telling me that this is getting clicked on more often, and now he knows how to drive his next set of content. So it's really valuable from him on that page. Am I hearing that right, Evan?
Yeah, the AI is telling me, well, who's clicking on what. It's very important, the AI. Another thing I don't know if you're gonna bring this up, but the analytics that you guys have is actually pretty cool. I'm not sure if Klaviyo has it, but when I was with them, they didn't. But actually seeing where people click on the email is extremely important. I was actually talking to a potential client about 2 weeks ago about their emails, and I realized it was really weird. But they had this huge email, it was full of content, and on the bottom it said like shop to sale or go to the site. And I asked them, hey, did you ever test just bringing up your shop now button? So where somebody can actually see it. I would actually show you my phone. I have a whole stash of customer emails that I look at. Let's see, let's find one. And they basically said like, oh, we never even thought about bringing up the shop now button, because yes, I'm happy that you're in email marketing and you understand that the whole email is clickable, but a lot of customers don't. And what I've actually seen on my end in retention science and the analytics, the heat mapping on the emails, that customers, when you put a shop now button all the way on the bottom, they don't actually click on it. So what I always try to do is in web design, there's a terminology called above the fold. So I always try to put it on that when it's going to be on your phone, above the fold, the shop now button, because your main goal is not to make them feel all warm and fuzzy. That is true, that is important, but also that they actually get to your site. So always have those CTAs, those call to actions, as high as possible, so the customers know, click here and you go there. Yes, the entire email is clickable, but a lot of times they just might not click it and move on to the next email.
Yeah, that's super helpful. And it's also, great to just point out too that it's just another way of understanding your customer behavior better, by zeroing in on that click behavior. So let's talk now about brand content in your own channels to drive customer engagement. Nick, do you want to kick us off with this topic?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's so many companies out there who build content, and they build it for different reasons. Some people do it for SEO, some people do it for SEM, some people just do it as a new way to send out a new blog post weekly on their promo blast, right? Just to get that engagement with their email audience. One of the things that we really see, at least for almost every single customer who makes a transition to Resci, is they feel like they're on what I call the hamster wheel of marketing. Every single week, they make a brand new piece of content, they send it out to the whole list, they get, hopefully a 15%, open rate, 20% if they're really segmenting well. And then they go and they do that all over again, week after week after week. One of the great things about our artificial intelligence is that we get to know who is actually clicking on that information and who is actually engaging with that. And so what our customers will do today is they'll take that content that's evergreen, it sits on their site all the time, and they can actually build up this, what we call library of content in their needs nurturing stage or in their ready to buy stage. And our system identifies, hey, this content really resonates with your customer base. And so usually what that means is two things. One, that evergreen content is just a living, breathing thing. And so every time you build out one of those blog posts, you're getting 10, 15, 20 times more eyeballs on it because the AI is picking it up, sending it to new subscribers who probably have never even seen it before. And then the second piece is all that work that you put into building that content is now getting to be leveraged multiple times. So that's really my favorite way to use own content in our system, because it allows you to not only create personas based on who's clicking on what content, but also when a brand new subscriber comes in, allows them to see the most valuable content based on what your other customers have clicked on.
Thanks, Nick.
One thing I would just want to add to that. So what Nick was saying is completely true. Whenever we do, let's say, a promo blast on a product feature or something, and we see has a good open rate, and we see that it had a good click-through rate, we'll just take that same email, we'll replicate it, put it into needs nurturing, and we're segmenting that it should go to certain people automatically. So we do because Nick is so smart, and with the artificial intelligence that he brings up, so we do the same thing across the board.
Perfect. Thank you both. So going back to what we said earlier, when you are developing content for your own channels, so the website, blog, email, social, etc., you do have full creative control and are able to build your brand through your content and messaging. And Evan, I know one of the clients you've mentioned, JoyJoel, if you go to their website, they have a really great, inspiring recipe collection of drinks that people can make, featuring the glassware. So I think that's the kind of, high value, very interesting brand content that, once you are able to drive people to the website, it's going to keep them there and keep them engaged with the brand. Is there anything else, Evan, that you would want to add around that?
Yeah, so what we're in the process of doing right now is we're constantly adding new recipes to the site, and the reason is we are trying to sell products because we do like to make money like regular people, but we're also trying to keep our customers engaged, giving them a reason to come back to the site. And what we're working on right now is we're basically segmenting all our products into different segmentations. And for example, so all the wine glasses are going into one bucket, and once someone buys a wine glass, automatically in, let's say, 30 days or 60 days, we didn't figure out the exact time, we're going to test it, we're going to send them a recipe that can go with their wine glasses. So not only can you use the wine glasses to drink wine, but you can also use them to make beautiful desserts that people have been doing for us. So we're doing all these things just to keep our customers engaged. Same thing with coffee glasses and shot glasses. So we're basically segmenting our entire product line, all of our different products, and we're going to send you just, hey, thanks for buying us. If you have any questions, those type of things, we're just sending them emails. So this is something that no other channel does for you. Yes, Amazon does it themselves for Amazon. They'll ask you to leave a review for that product you sold on Amazon, but they're not asking you to buy that same type of product again. They want you to buy whatever is cheaper on Amazon because they make their money. Mm-hmm. This, you're giving the customer more of a personal experience with your brand. And JoyJoel and Sterling specifically, they're very into brand focus, making sure they have a positive light with their customers, and that's what we're doing.
Perfect, thank you. So I'm just going to give a quick recap here of some of the key things that we've talked about today, and the 3 reasons your owned marketing channels are more valuable than you realize. So we talked about the fact that you can gather valuable, reliable first-party data that you can use to improve the effectiveness of your marketing programs, despite the sweeping data privacy changes that we're seeing. Secondly, you have complete creative control, which is very important for developing a strong brand identity and engaging your customers. And then lastly, your brand, product designs, and IP are all better protected within your own marketing channels. So I do want to just switch now to our Q&A portion of the presentation. So we do have one question. It says for Nick, probably. What kind of features do you look at for the segmentation models?
So for this, I think there's actually 2 ways to think about this. So for the segmentation, right, any of the segmentation that we can do on our side can be from first party or 0-party data, right? So a customer actually giving you that data in use. So we use custom attributes, quizzes, things like that. You can make those via manual segmentation. But the thing that's a little bit more powerful out of our system than really any other email platform out there is the ability for us to aggregate all of the actions across all of your customers. So we actually know what is the path to purchase for every customer that lands on your site. where is this person located, and does that person look like some of your best customers? So it's not just looking at, each individual, but it's also looking at how likely is that customer going to be a lifelong customer. And that's really where the power of data science comes into play, because it's really using the power of every single other client that came before them. So that way you get a better sense of how likely are they to buy from you today. And as we all know with marketing, it's all about meeting the customer where they're at. You're trying to ask someone to buy something right now who just purchased and just needs some nurturing, maybe needs some recipes like Evan is doing, then that's going to be a much better email. It's going to be much more likely to keep them on the email list and become stay a subscriber, rather than just asking them to buy their next product. So that's really the key to our system, is using the data in an aggregate so that you can make the best possible decision when you're sending to your customers.
Great. Thank you, Nick. So we have another question. I think probably either or both of you could tackle this one. And this is, if you have been primarily focused on acquisition with paid social and Google Ads, for example, what's the best way to move towards focusing on your owned marketing channels and gathering first-party data and making your website a bit more engaging? How would you recommend that a company get started with all of that?
Well, if you don't mind me taking this, Nick, I know you're smarter than me, but just give a quick answer to this one. You can do both at the same time. If you're doing email, you have to still do Facebook and Google, because that's where the original traffic's coming for. The point of email is that, like what you asked was, how can you keep the customer acquisition going? That it's the best way to acquire a customer and to keep them acquired, that they shouldn't go to another brand out there. So it depends on the products you're trying to sell, but you have to have your site engaging enough that not that they just click on a Google Shopping ad and then they just leave, but give them a reason to sign up. You can offer them a discount. You can offer them, hey, again, it depends what you're selling. Like with the makeup is a great idea. Don't give them a discount, but give them a kind of a BOGO idea. Hey, if you spend over $50, you get this free mascara free. I think mascara is good. I haven't put it on in a while, but you would have to basically try to get them to sign up to your email list, and then let your email list basically start doing the work for you. And it's a fraction of the price. Facebook and Google is so freaking expensive these days. Like, it's insane how much money I'm paying them. If you look at the CPMs, how much it's costing, I don't know if you are, it doubled in price over the past 6 months. And it's just a lot of money. So yeah, you should do both at the same time.
Great. So we do have another question here. This one's more specific to the beauty industry. And the question is, how would you go about creating engaging brand content for a beauty brand, and like any examples that might be successful?
I'll start off and then Nick can take it from there. It's probably the easiest company to create content for. It's the easiest industry. Give out free product to people. Ask them to make you customer testimonials. Make sure, by the way, another thing, make sure you have your reviews on the site. I spoke to a beauty brand like 6 months ago, and they didn't have any reviews on their site. I'm like, and they said, oh, we don't think it's good, like for our brand. We don't think it matches our brand to show reviews. I'm like, what do you mean? I don't think anybody if you're talking about applying a moisture or something to your skin, people want to know of how people's others' experience was with it. Not from my personal experience, I just know from my wife, and the amount of research she does into getting some type of bronzer or something is insane. So yes, you need to have reviews on your site, but it's probably the easiest thing to create content for, because there's so many people doing it. I don't have to pay a ton of money to influencers to go ahead and do it. You can do it to like beginning influencers or even regular people out there to create content for you in exchange for free product, or even pay them a little money. Like, it's something I do with regards to glassware with recipes. I give them away for free. There's so many people that would love free product, and people that think they're so talented that they make the best content, or that they're starting up, that it's the easiest way to make content. But Nick, you are in the makeup industry, as we can tell, not me.
I mean, I agree with everything that Evan just said. I mean, you have to know where your product sits and what you're trying to accomplish, right? The product content is way different from a brand from like Olay to Jeffree Star Cosmetics, right? That's going to be the key. Knowing your audience, knowing what you're trying to get to. And then also, if you are utilizing those quizzes, which so many beauty brands do today, right? What are the responses? If you're getting, you know, a lot of people having a specific skin concern, start building content around that. So again, this all goes back to that progressive profiling and what your customers are clicking on and engaging with, because that's going to be the leader in terms of, hey, this new content that I need to make should be around these concerns, should be around who this audience is. So if you let the data lead you a little bit, and then every time you come up with a new idea, I mean, we're all in marketing, and we always say new ideas, the only way that you're going to know if they're viable or not is if you test it. So put them into your email content, put them on your website, let the data show you if it's a viable content piece. If it does really well, you know that, hey, I can continue down this path and continue making that content. So let the data be your guide. I think that's my answer at the end of the day.
First of all, shout out to Nick for knowing Jeffree Star. He knows his content. If you know who Jeffree Star is, probably the best person out there with regards to makeup. The content that gets created is incredible.
Yeah, thank you both for that. We have an interesting question next, and that is, how can you use online marketing to drive brick and mortar sales?
Well, do you sell can you ask this question back? Do you sell online or do you only sell in a store? I'm not sure. It's the same ways. It's different ways of getting traffic. If you want to see if it's going to work, you have to basically give them a code to use through your emails or through your Facebook Facebook ads or even Google ads. And if they use that code, you know it's working. If it's for a pizza shop, for example, first of all, you can make any business online. Just because it's brick and mortar doesn't mean you can't create a simple website out there and drive traffic to your site. And you can use different codes to see if they're working on the site versus working in the store. There's no reason for, again, I don't want to sound pompous or think I'm an elitist or the smartest guy out there, but there's no reason why you can't have a site. So even if it's just your basic information out there, because if someone's going to your store, chances are they're probably going to Google you because people forgot how to walk in a straight line to get to the store because of GPS these days. So chances are you're going to want to have a site anyhow. And once we have a site, you might as well make an option to sell on it. With places like Shopify, it's very simple to do. You don't have to pay a guy like me a fortune of money to do. There are simpler ways to do it yourself if you want.
Yeah, I love that. And we did get some clarification that she is selling in-store brick and mortar. So yeah, those ideas that you just offered are great.
But even for restaurants, I don't know if it's a restaurant or you're just selling specifically products, but even restaurants, there's so many sites out there now that you can make your menu on a site basically, and people can order from the site and get sent. Again, it depends if you're very into not being an old school type of business and not want to have anything to do with online. But if you're a restaurant out there, you can have your menu online. People can order it through a site. And if you're selling products in the store, you can make very simple product listings on your site that if someone ever wants the option to buy from your site, why not give it to them? That's all.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's great. So the next question, and I think again, this could be for either one of you, for someone who's just starting to think about multi-channel marketing and with owned marketing channels, what's the best way to make that a cohesive customer experience and effective?
Nick?
So I think this is always the when you're thinking multi-channel, right? You need to have a brand identity first. You have to know what your brand stands for, what you're trying to do. I'm a big proponent of use the channels not to just say the same thing, but to say different things. So if you're doing ads, you know that you're going for acquisition, right? So what are the products that are going to get those people engaged? How do you use the data to know that, hey, this first product, if I put this onto an ad and they actually buy that product, I know, again, they're going to be a second, third, fourth time customer because this is such a high value product for our customer base, right? That's first and foremost. Then you need to think about what you're trying to do in each of the channels, right? Email, right? The number one thing is to engage. If you can get engagement, that means they see value in what you're sending and they see value in staying on your email list. If you're not seeing engagement, then you're either overselling or you're not segmenting your customers, right? Now, the new hot channel everyone loves is SMS, right? I think people are starting to make SMS their new email blast. And I think you should be very cautious about doing that. Yes, it will work. Yes, you'll get a bunch of people who are going to click to your website and you'll probably get a bunch of purchases. But what you want to do is use those sparingly as much as possible, or make sure that you're segmenting in an ideal world. Because if all you're doing is blasting the same thing from email into SMS and replicating that, you're missing the point of people trusting you with their phone number. So when you can, and this is something that we can help you with on the resize side, segment that SMS list based on what they care about and send in that feature. One of the things that I would love to see from especially celebrity branded cosmetics or beauty clients is like a tip line, right? Where it's coming from, like if I use Jeffree Star for an example, hey, get tips from Jeffree Star once a week. People will sign up for that SMS like that. You link it to your website. They don't care if you sent them a product or not. They just want to see the tip. And now you've got them on your website browsing, and that's a recipe for another purchase.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that answered the question, but that's my thought process on these things.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I think a lot of people have questions around SMS and how how are the best ways to integrate with what they're already doing. So that is super.
If that's true, let me just show you guys something.
Mm-hmm.
Really shouldn't do this, but basically on my phone, I can't even really see it, but I subscribe to every one of those companies. To like, I subscribe basically. I don't use text messages anymore because of this, so I subscribe to about 80 different companies out there who I thought did good marketing. Their SMS sucks, and I want to unsubscribe from all of them, but I just want to see the type of stuff they're posting. So they don't segment it based on. So if I was a regular normal human being, I would be very annoyed and unsubscribe, but I'm not, because I just want to see what everybody else is doing. And what I realize is they're just basically they're blasting and praying that something's going to work. What you have to do for SMS is that you have to basically segment it based on the products they looked at. So if you're running a sale on an item, let's say wine glasses, it's an easy example. I'm not sending that to my entire list. I'm only going to send to people that actually add a wine glass to their cart, or if the pixel is tracking and they actually went to the wine glass collection or wine glass product. So it's basically segmenting. So you're not just annoying every single person that came to your site and who subscribed, because SMS is very different than email. Because I should have done this and made this mistake, but I have quote unquote an email or burner account. I'm sure most people have that also, where I subscribe everything to one email address so I can see what's going on. Because like I'm married, I got 3 kids. So the Amazon orders that go through my phone are insane. I get like 80 emails every time I order my family orders a product. I don't have any money for anything they do. So every time all the emails go to that email address, and it's so many emails. So I think there's a lot of people that do it also these days, but when it comes to SMS, a lot of people don't have a second phone that they just put SMS subscriptions to. So you really have to segment them, just to piggyback off Nick was saying, to make sure you're targeting them the right way.
Awesome, that's great. So I am mindful of the time here, and we should probably wrap things up. I do want to thank all of our guests on the call today. We appreciate your interest and participation, and I invite you to reach back out to us if you have follow-up questions. We always enjoy talking with and learning about growing businesses. I want to extend a big thank you as well to Evan for sharing his thoughts and perspectives today. We were so happy to have you join us. You can reach Nick at retentionscience.com, and you can find a wide assortment of articles, guides, and other resources on our website at retentionscience.com. Thanks so much for joining us, and have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.